Oh,
Whoa, that's really loud.
Holy crap.
Yeah, let's not do that anymore.
I'm sorry. I opened up Audacity and it automatically adjusted my microphone to like max. And I'm sorry. I said I was sorry.
I didn't say I was sorry.
All right. Good to go.
Blah, blah,
I could
blah,
start
blah,
singing
blah.
Blink 182.
All the small things, truth is.
Why is it coming through there?
All right. Let's clap then.
Hold on a second.
Let's do the damn thing.
Microphone sound mapper. What?
PC load letter.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess we're playing Margaritaville.
All right.
Let me make sure it's recording.
We're live. We're on
the right thing here.
Oh, better not then.
I'm about to say
Never
we're
mind.
gonna get shut down.
Get content
not the
ID.
way LeGrande plays it.
No, it's my own rendition. I don't have the.
Okay. I can start recording. All
the
right.
punk version.
Here we go.
Okay.
The beast.
I guarantee there's a punk version of Margaritaville that somebody's already made.
Oh, of course there is.
Yep.
That would be it's nature abhors a vacuum kind of situation.
Margaritaville Punk cover. Who did it? A band called Lung Cookie.
Gross.
There's a death metal version. It's pretty damn good. Uh-oh. All right.
Bjork covered it.
Ready to clap?
Yep.
I'm born ready.
Born ready to clap.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
4:47.
47.
150.
Ooh, in the morning is what time it is for me right now.
When we'll finish, yeah.
You are such a liar. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game by Show podcast. It is August. God damn it. It's not August. It's October.
what
October
are you thinking?
24th.
What's the
20.
matter
Should I
with
do
you?
that again? I should probably do that
You're a
again.
disgrace.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the game. I'm really loud now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game by Show podcast. It is October. Am I right? October?
It is October.
October 24th, 2021.
Yay.
This evening, it's Sunday, boys and girls. My name is LeGrande Jolly. This evening, I am joined by Jeremy Lamont. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, thinking about that time I signed at 2013 in like 2020 for no reason.
Sounds about right.
That's pretty good.
There's Dale Jones. Say hi, Dale.
Sincerely, Dale.
Grace Jones.
I wrote you a letter every single day for a whole year. Dale Jones.
That's right.
And Jerod Dunn. Hello, Jerod.
Nougat.
What?
That's that is a foreshadowing of what I'll talk about here in a few minutes.
Oh,
Oh, I
no.
can't wait to hear more about how that ties into Ultima Online.
Yep.
Yeah, well, how's everyone been? Hey, guys, I got news.
Hey, what's the news?
My football team is headed to the championships next Saturday.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be champions.
How are these little scamps doing? Did you
Where do I buy
now-
tickets?
Are you now the father figure for like the disenfranchised
I
like
sure hope not.
runt of the litter and the one who overeats too much but is good at
Yes, it is
whatever.
very much that. Coach, what does it mean when they get to that side of the field? Like,
You've got to
there-
believe in yourself.
There's
you guys.
still a kid on my team that just doesn't have any concept of what football actually
That's
is and how
awesome.
to actually score points.
That's awesome. He's probably trolling you. Wouldn't that be funny if
He's not. That's the sad part. And he's like, we've been doing this for 10 weeks, right? 2.5 months we've been doing. No, since end of July. So it's been almost 3 months we've been doing this thing. And he's still asking me questions about how we score points in football.
That's awesome.
But
I approve.
the other kids who actually know what they're doing are taking us to a championship game next Saturday. I'll report back next Sunday how it went.
All right. You can tell if
Spoilers?
it's more like Sandlot or
cannot
more
wait.
like.
I can't wait to compare notes between Dale's Blood Bowl 2 and LeGrande's Pee Wee Bowl.
Listen,
Actually,
we won
The original, the
semifinals
origin
in the
story.
playoffs. We won in overtime by 1 point. Say
What
we
I'm
won in
waiting
overtime.
for.
It went to
Hey,
overtime. It was
That's
insane.
just that. How do you win by 1 point in overtime?
Because in overtime, each team gets a chance with the ball at the
Okay.
10-yard line.
Okay.
and they scored a touchdown, which is 6 points, and we stopped them on their extra point, and then we scored a touchdown when we got the ball, and we scored the extra point. Therefore, we won.
Nice.
Look, I don't want to hear any more about this until you have like a plucky subplot about how all your players are replaced by prison inmates, and that's what I want. Otherwise, don't come back.
They're actually all ferrets dressed up in football gear. It's 6 ferrets to a player.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say there's an exchange rate there.
Yeah.
Just like touchdowns.
Anyway, I'll report back.
Well, very good. Very good.
Yeah, but video games though, boys. Let's jump right into this.
I just want to say one thing before we get to no, not quite. I want to say Dune came out. The Denis Villeneuve Dune. Has anyone else?
I have not seen
30 minutes of it,
but we should let the spice flow.
And I said I need to watch this on a bigger screen.
All right.
So me and my dad are actually watching it tomorrow night.
It was totally good.
You just hold it real close.
Yeah, it was fine.
You watched it on your phone?
On my iPad.
Oh.
He put it in a cereal box on his face.
Yes, laying like this on your super switch.
So you watched it. You guys both watched it? All three of you guys?
I have seen it.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
I've seen it. Jared says he hasn't yet.
I liked it. I got a little bit confused though that it was only half of a movie. I was like,
I didn't know until like 2 weeks ago.
Where's the other half?
I talked to a guy on Twitter and he was like, I didn't know until the opening, scroll or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, because I thought I was going to say I thought I was dumb, but I felt dumb. I felt dumb because I had no idea. And it's kind of disappointing. And I'll tell you,
why?
Because you want the whole movie. You don't want it to stop halfway through.
Sure, but there's a lot of movie there. There's a lot of
there's a lot
story to unpack.
Let me tell you something, and I feel like that I am maybe the biggest Dune fan that I know, and I know a lot of people who like Dune. But I feel like this is a movie that the further away we get from it, I think I'm going to like it less as we go.
If they don't finish it, I'm going to like it a whole lot less.
Yeah.
Do you think they've already recorded, like they've already filmed like the part 2?
No, I don't think they have. I don't think they've done anything.
I suspect that they might have footage that they could potentially use somehow. But here's kind of my non-spoiler thing to not sour anybody on it. But here's what I think. I think compared to the David Lynch movie, and a lot of us know the Lynch movie, right?
I know the David Lynch movie.
Watched a ton of the David Lynch movie, and it's sort of like roundly in the popular zeitgeist.
It's a lot of people.
I wouldn't say that, but yes, people have seen it.
In the zeitgeist, it is maligned typically as being like a mess or as being like really. But here's how I kind of want to characterize this. I think that Denis Villeneuve, however you want to say his name, I think that he spent more footage in the movie sort of painting with the broad brush about here's the setting. This is kind of what's going on, trying to help the viewer maybe understand the climate of things and what are the big moves that are being made. And I think in doing so, I think I haven't compared, and I'd like to see a comparison of the amount of screen time that some of the main characters get. And I would be interested to know if David Lynch spent more time developing individual characters and less time giving you the backdrop for all of the action, which I think may have led people to be confused about it.
So I had a quip to joke about movies with sequels, and it actually talks exactly to what you were talking about what the broader audience knows about some of these movies that we are like franchises that we hold so dear.
Yeah.
The first is I remember going with my parents to see what was the third prequel of the Lord of the not the Lord of the Rings, the Star Wars. It was Clone Wars.
Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, my dad walks out of the theater and goes, "Well, that was a dumb ending. I want to know what happens." Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your dad?
Yeah, my dad. He had no idea what happens. I'm like, well, there's like 3 other movies that tell you. Like, you don't even
watch them. You can watch them right now.
Yeah.
You've probably watched them. The other was Lord of the Rings, and we watched the first movie in the theaters, I think with my parents again. So this is like a very small, sample size. But my dad was like, that movie was really long, and I don't feel like it's anywhere near the end. And it was full of short people.
It's full of short people. The movie was really long, and the people were relatively short.
Yeah,
is this
weird.
Yeah.
Here's the
So-
thing with Dune.
Okay.
I don't think the general public is familiar with Dune. I've seen the
I
David
agree.
Lynch movie a handful of times,
Yep.
and I've read part of the book,
Okay.
but I'm not that familiar with Dune.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think
But
for nerds like Jeremy, which is probably a very small percentage of the population, maybe doesn't hold.
Well, here's what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about this movie as an adaptation exactly, but just compared to the other movie that it's going to naturally be compared to, I feel like the director, David Lynch, spent more time fleshing out individual people and motivations and characterizations and what is this guy about and what is that guy about than the new movie does. And I think as a result, you don't attach to some of the characters and their motivations. You maybe have a better idea of kind of what's going on broadly, but the individual people, I don't think the new movie drills into. And as a result, my final kind of, and I'm still processing, but I think that it is not the definitive film version of Dune that I thought it would be. I think it is now one of the several versions of Dune that are committed to.
Man, what a watered down franchise.
Yeah, they've done too much.
A follow up to the Dune real time strategy game.
Dune 2.
by
I want
Westwood.
Dune.
Yeah.
I hope they do that. I actually really like the Dune RTS.
Wait,
Dune
isn't
3.
Homeworld-
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's working on that right
Isn't
now.
Homeworld
Dune
like
3.
Deserts of Karak just Dune?
yeah, it is.
No, there's no spice.
Sort of.
There is no spice. You get you send your little runners out to get
I
those
beat
little
that game. Desert.
That is a good game.
It's
It was a
good.
good game.
So Dale has donned his Bene Gesserit hood here. He's gonna lay some
Right.
truth on us.
I will know.
Do you
no
have the
fear.
box? Do you have the hand box? The box of pain? whatever it's
The
called.
Test of Sentience, I believe.
It's
Is what that's
the
right.
Gom
Gom
Jabbar.
Jabbar. The
No, that's
high-handed
just the
enemy.
needle, LeGrande. You have to
Don't
know.
move your
technically,
neck.
Only the needle is called the Gom Jabbar.
I'm
That's right.
sorry.
Anyway, so I know that's not video games, but it is kind of the big cultural thing going on right now, and I'm personally invested in it. And I'm gonna
it's
watch it
been-
again.
Dune, the movie, and the discussion of it has been like pretty much ubiquitous on my Twitter experience. I don't ever go on other social medias because they're toxic, but so is Twitter.
Oh yeah,
for that
Twitter's
matter.
so great. Yeah,
But-
yeah.
But
I
I,
go to
I
the
can
Find
only,
us, find us on Twitter, by the
handle
way, at
one.
Game Bytes Show.
I can only hand one such bad environment, and I choose that one. So, but anyway, yeah, like everybody's been talking about Dune, and actually, I think I retweeted something I saw the other day that was actually really really fascinating. These guys did this. It was like Cambridge University Press or somebody. They did this like paper on the influences that Frank Herbert had when he was writing Dune. And a lot of people associate Dune with like Middle Eastern cultures because that's a lot of the language he uses and the motifs and everything seem very
yeah.
Middle Eastern.
Mhm.
But in fact, a lot of that is actually based on a Native American tribe here in the Pacific Northwest. And I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm not going to try to butcher it. You can look it up. But basically, like at some point, he became sort of entranced by the Oregon Dunes, which is a region of the state of Oregon here, where they have a lot of sand dunes, right?
It's a very
And he got really
hippie sand
interested
dunes area.
into ecology and stuff like that. And then, but also it was like intertwined with a lot of like his weird. He had some really weird like imperialist sort of politics. Like he was really into like Nixon and didn't like Kennedy, and he fought in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
I believe he did.
I didn't know that.
Or sorry, there's a chance I could be confusing him with somebody else. But anyway, if you delve really deep into that stuff, there's some like really interesting stuff in there behind a lot of what he was writing about. Because and the reason I bring it up, and this has nothing to do with video games, but
That's
I do want to kind of like talk about how like there's been some undercurrent of people talking about Dune as like the white savior narrative. And all
Oh,
that stuff.
constantly, dude. Somehow Google latched onto that, and that's all I see in
Yeah.
my Google News feed from everywhere.
And I'd
Is
really like to
what?
disabuse
What is that?
anybody
Yeah.
of that whole narrative just
Yeah.
by saying just read the first sequel and see where it goes from there. It's really, you might think that something is being said, but in fact something is being subverted a lot of times when it comes to Dune.
That is true.
And it's actually it's really interesting. Not only are the books themselves very interesting, but looking into the sort of the author's philosophies and stuff, because unlike with a lot of authors, he actually packs a lot of that stuff into the narrative, which is also very interesting. But anyway, yeah, I thought the movie was cool, but they need to make the second half before I will award them full points.
I'm just
Fair
gonna
enough.
wait for the movie of the year edition and get it
Yeah.
all at once.
It'll win all the
It'll go on
awards.
sale. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compilation steel disc version.
I'll pick it
Also,
up at
Shogun is
Blockbuster
also-
used.
Neither is Shogun a white savior narrative. So
Yeah, there you go. That's
uh,
true.
Read the books,
doesn't-
people.
Yeah,
God,
that's true.
Open a book, would you? You
Yeah,
idiots.
not Harry Potter.
Evens.
Fools.
There you go.
Harry
solved
Potter's
it.
the only book series I need. Just
I like
kidding.
it. It's good.
It's fine.
Harry
It's
Potter.
fine. Well, speaking of fine, I got a game to talk about today.
Mm.
And I haven't played much of this, but I played some Disco Elysium on top of my standard works that I'm not even going to mention.
Good.
I'm gonna mention mine because I have something to mention in them.
Okay.
Well, so do I. I had it's good. I'm not. So I played a little bit of Disco Elysium, and I know this is Jared's all about.
It is a fantastic RPG. I love it.
Did you play this game at all, Jeremy?
No, but I really do like the setting of like the 1970s where everybody was doing like
It's
the
51.
Like oh, is it? But you know what I can't wait for is the Disco Sucks Elysium sequel. You guys know about Disco Sucks?
No,
All right.
lost us.
Someone out there
Disco
does.
Stew,
Yeah.
like
You lost us.
Disco Elysium.
Disco Stew.
So riddle me this, Jared. The first time I started playing, so again, I played this game twice now. I
Cool.
completed it once.
Nice.
And it took me about 30 minutes to complete it the first time. And then I played it again, and I'm in the middle of playing it again. I got to a part where you're basically a cop, right?
Yeah.
And I got to a part where it was
Sort
like,
of.
I'm done being a cop, and my game was
Oh.
over after that. Did you do that?
No.
It was when I was talking to that kid when he was
Yeah.
throwing rocks at the dead body, and and they were like all talking and they were being all naughty and stuff, and then I was like, "That's it, I'm done being a cop," and then it faded out, and then a newspaper faded in, and it told a story about how I like went crazy, and then the game was over and it kicked me back to the title screen, and that was my first.
I love
experience
it.
with
How
Disco
do you
Elysium.
not love an RPG that does that?
It was pretty good. And
You
I was like,
can't
"Wow,
not love that.
well, that's it." And I started again, and all of a sudden, there I was again, back at the very beginning of the game. I'm like, "Okay,
That is so good.
cool."
It makes you wonder how many endings are there in this game just like that. You
Oh,
know
dude,
what I mean?
it's insane what they have going on in this game, and I've only played
It
for
is so good.
an hour probably. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it just yet. It's just that, I mean, this is definitely a story ass adventure game with a ton of and all the dialogue is
Yes.
voiced now, I guess, like everything,
Yeah,
even all the voices
upgraded-
in your head and all the characters and everything is voiced. And
right.
I've had some pretty good moments in that game so far. I called the police station. Did you do that, Jared, and have to
Yeah,
talk to those
yeah,
guys? And
Yeah.
and they're all making fun of me because I suck. And I
You like
this
lost your
loser.
gun. You couldn't like tell them like you lost your gun.
I didn't
or
tell them.
whatever.
I passed the skill check that I lied to them and told them I hadn't lost my gun, even though I had.
The game is so good. It like easily one of the best RPGs I think I've ever played. Like,
Yeah.
there is no combat, so the combat is all just like text, like skill check stuff. So don't worry about that. But oh my gosh, the whole thing is just so well done. It's so off the wall, but somehow well put together and realized at the same time. It's
crazy.
insane. It's literally insane.
I am very surprised at what this game actually, and I think I knew, but I didn't really know what this game was. You know what I mean? And
it's really hard to describe what makes it so good.
It's
just
hard
so
to
good.
it's hard to talk about it without talking about it.
That's fair.
Because it's basically like, I don't want to spoil.
No,
Dune,
not at all.
right? I don't want to tell you who dies in Dune. And it's the same thing with this game. Like anything
Spoilers,
you
sandworm.
say to somebody about this game, you're basically spoiling a potential
Yeah,
something.
you
right?
literally need to buy it and just play this game, Disco Elysium.
Did you try to
will-
hit on the girl at the very beginning?
Oh, I'm certain I did.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And then the girl that you called, the girl that like left the bar, I like called her up and I started some quest to go and talk to the bartender guy or
I
whatever.
mean, there's like scenes later on that like shook me. Like I was like, I had to stop playing. I saved. I closed. I had to walk
What?
away. Like I was like,
like crazy stuff.
not like crazy, just like so real.
Dark?
Yeah, just like too real. You know what I mean? Like just like, oh
Yeah.
man, maybe I am the bad guy.
Well, you're definitely not a good guy. That's for damn sure.
You're certainly not a good guy.
Anyway, I don't have a lot more to say about this. If you listener need a narrative, like a ridiculous narrative experience in your life where you are a drunk, washed up loser who thinks he's like, I don't know.
Thinks he's
It's
awesome.
funny because you can role play this character however you want. It gives you any number of branching paths, and I'm taking the one where I'm pretending I'm a super cop.
You know, I really like that about Planescape Torment. It's like it was, you know, like a lot of games, they start with like amnesia, and you can kind of construct who you used to
become
be.
who you are. Yeah.
There are a lot of like hints as to who you might have been or like what you might have done, and you can either kind of like adopt those or repudiate them. I think that's a really good setup for
it's weird that there's this crazy sequence where you're talking to this police dispatch guy on the phone, and you're trying to convince him to tell you what your name is without sounding crazy like you forgot your name.
Say my name.
So good. He's like, hey, can you describe what my missing badge says? Like, what does it say on the back? Or something like that. And
it is so good, dude.
And then like the police, like the leader over there is like, what is he doing? Is he still wasting your time or whatever? And then everyone's laughing at you and calling you names, and you're trying to like play it serious. It's really funny.
You can't.
It's a really insane game. And I'm only like I said, I've barely scratched this game, but so far, very impressed. I just don't want to, Jerod, get to the point where I just see an ending again. Like I don't want to see that again because I want to keep going. I don't want to. And I made a decision. Like I thought it was just gonna be my inner monologue. Like, God damn, I don't want to be a police officer anymore. Like that was the decision I picked. And then it's like, okay, you're not then, and you went crazy and game over. Like that was basically it.
Just stick to Super Cop, man.
Yep, sticking to Super Cop. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm missing my shoe, and I'm a super cop, and I don't know where my badge or my gun is, or my police officer clothes, or whatever he calls them. He calls them police officer uniform.
So how much of this is a comedy? Like, is it funny? Like, is it?
I don't think so. Well,
it is so hard to describe, Jeremy. It is.
Maybe if you lean
it's
into it.
it's weird. It
is weird. It is like a weird, like skirting the edge of like psychosis for this guy. So there's lots of comedic elements, but it's a serious game. You know what I mean? Like it is really
there's crazy dark stuff
strange.
Happening.
Yeah. It's like the world that they build. Like if you read like some of the world building stuff they throw in there, it's not a very friendly place. Like it's got some issues, right? Like it's like the collapse of like communism, like all of these things, like starving and like these huge huge like economic divides and all kinds of really nasty things. Basically everyone you're around is like living in the slums, and it's a serious game, but I don't know. You literally just have to play it. It is so good.
It's hard to describe why it's ridiculous in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Because your character is ridiculous, right? Like, but he's in this situation that demands some sort of seriousness, right?
Yeah. Like
so
some
it's
kind
not
of
like
confidence.
slapstick funny. It's not like slapstick funny. It's just like, yeah, you're just like this loser cop, and everyone's making fun of you, and nobody likes you, and everything sucks, and your brain is talking to you, and you're going crazy, and but you got to like investigate this murder.
I mean, here's the most spoileriest spoiler I'll give anyone, because it happens in like the first 5 minutes of the game. You wake up from like being completely off the wall, high, drunk, who knows, blacked out. And there's an entire sequence in which you're interacting with your mirror in your bathroom.
Oh yeah.
Or in like this hotel bathroom or whatever. And it is
hostile.
Whatever. Yeah. Wherever you're staying. It's literally a mirror. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, and it is simultaneously sad and funny and intriguing, and it is so good.
You can choose whether or not you want to wipe the steam off of the mirror to actually get a look at yourself. And the first time I didn't. I'm like, nope, not gonna do it. And so your portrait, that's like your character's like little portrait in the game, is like you can't even see what it is. Yeah. But as soon as you actually look at yourself in the mirror, suddenly you see this crazy deranged portrait of yourself, and then you interact with your brain like you want so you can roll a skill check to determine what your face or what your smirk that you have, what that actually means, right?
Yeah.
Like, what am I actually thinking? Like, you can run a skill check to like
When I played, I smiled. It's like, do you want to smile into the mirror? And I did yes, and I like failed the check and like took damage.
Yeah, it's
bonkers, so good.
Man.
Disco Elysium is so good.
I
Game of the
agree.
year,
It's
20 what years?
It is a rabbit hole of rabbit holes and that's the thing is like I think no two people would ever have the exact same experience in this game. Like there's so many branches, and even I'm seeing the branches in the first 30 minutes of the game. I can't even imagine, where that would take
later
down
on
the road. Yeah. I pissed off the girl lead, and she hates me because I tried to hit on her and I failed. And so now she's mad and like, she won't talk to me anymore. But somebody could have passed that skill check, and anyway,
it is really good. It's so good.
So there you go. I don't have a whole lot to say about it just because it's just bonkers.
You really can't talk about it. One, it's really hard to talk about. B, you don't want to spoil anything. Go play it. Disco Elysium is fantastic.
Everything that Jerod and I have said is probably complete lunacy to anyone listening.
Yeah,
it sounds interesting. It sounds interesting.
It is. Awesome. It's hard to describe the game, and it is a thing, and the voice acting is great. And
here's where we go from that, because I actually have something that is fully a comedy that I played this week, and it has a lot of branching paths and is quite a lot of fun, and I think all of you guys would enjoy playing this. The game that I played is called The Procession to Calvary, which is actually the second in a series of...
Calvary or Cavalry?
Calvary, so not Cavalry.
Like Golgotha, like it's the place of the crucifixion.
Christ,
not horsey righty boys.
That's right. That's right. So The Procession to Calvary is by a guy named Joe Richardson, and he's done like 3, or I think he's even working on maybe like a 4th version of, I guess, what would be called like a Renaissance-themed point-and-click kind of adventure game, I guess it would sort of be. But it's all done in the style of sort of Terry Gilliam, Monty Python, sort of cutting and pasting Renaissance paintings and art,
it's like illuminated kind of looking art.
Yes, like all of the things like your I'm trying to think of it. Hieronymus Bosch is maybe that's a little too dark and weird. But those kinds of things.
For folks, if you've ever played, what is that like game? The Boulder game, Rock of Ages, I think.
But yeah, Rock of Ages.
Very similar kind of look to it, I think.
So it basically takes and mishmashes different Renaissance paintings as the backgrounds, and then takes characters from, I guess, various paintings. I don't know where they're all from, but they look like they could be, right? From murals or oil paintings or whatever.
This is like the Avengers of oil paintings.
It's like the greatest crossover event.
Super oil paintings, brothers.
All of it.
Smash.
And you play as the heroine of a holy war that has just come to an end. In fact, the game opens.
Jihad.
Like a holy war, like a real crusade.
One of those.
Right. And everybody's dressed up in like armor, and that they're like pre-Raphaelite, like looking great, and over designed armor and haircuts, and guys are in robes, and they have shepherd crooks and
armored cod pieces, and
all of that. It has all of that. And so you play as this sort of hero warrior lady, like this Valkyrie for God or whatever, but it's not like overtly religious or whatever, heaven, yeah. And she's like this badass lady warrior, and it shows at the beginning she's like cutting around, like flipping around like a Jedi, like stabbing dudes, like chopping them, and then like they just animate the head coming off and like a red stump or something like that. Like very, very Monty Python, very Terry Gilliam animation. The movements as you move her around, you click and she goes walking, but the legs are just kind of like kind of does all of that. You can draw your sword at any point, and it is a valid action that you can take. You can just decide, like, I'm just going to stab this fool or whatever. So as far as like branching paths go, so here's the thing. You can genuinely, and the writing. So there's very little voice acting, if any. The writing is always very, it's very British comedy. It's very, so the point is that you finish this holy war, but you want to do more murders. Like your character's like, can I just kill someone else? And they're like, no, the war is over. This is a new era of peace, but can I just do one more murder? No, you've got to go get the permission of the new king. Oh yeah, I've got to go talk to him. And you're like, oh, I want to kill Heavenly Peter, who used to be the old tyrant. And he's like, no, we're in a new era of peace right now. And he's like, oh, well, what I'm hearing is that the Heavenly Peter was a bad guy, and you're telling me to kill him. And he's like, no, I didn't say that. But she's like, oh, I'm gonna go. And so you just go, and like when you move from one screen to another, so it does pan a little bit, but then eventually you go somewhere else, and suddenly you're in like some new pastoral hillside, and there's like some dudes there that are from other paintings, and every scene there will be like a little band or like a little lute player or something like that, playing music from like Mozart or Bach or something.
Love
like that. The soundtrack is all like Baroque kind of music, and you can listen to them, and you can always take the action to clap for them. And so I do that. You can just kind of be ridiculous with it, and you can solve the puzzles or not as you see fit. And I don't want to say too much more about it, but it is delightful to play. It like I have not laughed. You know how you say like you laugh, but you're like, huh, like I kind of smirk. Like I laughed,
but actually I just thought about like,
yeah,
this is where I would
thought
laugh.
about laughing.
Right.
This is
Right.
very funny. No, but this is like you will laugh out loud playing Procession to Calvary, and it is on Xbox Game Pass for PC. It is a point and click game that you play with a mouse.
Also on console.
It is on console, but you can play it if you have Xbox. You can get it on Xbox. And a playthrough can be pretty short. A playthrough can be kind of more complicated. The actions are very easy. It's look, talk, grab, or sword. Like those are basically the actions that you can take.
That's all the actions I need.
Yeah, exactly. Like what else could you want? And this is the middle game of a series. So there was the previous game was called Four Last Things, and then I believe that there's a sequel that he's working on or has already released. And if you're like me and you just enjoy like some like classy humor, but it's also like, oh, he farted profusely upon the whatever. Like all of that stuff is in there. It's just, I hope I've painted a picture, a Renaissance picture of what what this game actually is. But it's very simple ultimately. Watch a trailer. So just go look up the Procession to Calvary on YouTube or something.
Nuts to that, I'm downloading it. I actually already had it downloaded, by the way.
Yes, just get it and play it, and just like sit down and play it with your significant other. Like play it with somebody who will enjoy the experience with you, because it is ridiculous. It is just a lot of fun, and you will laugh together, and it will be great. And that's what I want to give to you tonight is the Procession to Calvary, Xbox Game Pass, played on PC or whatever console you want.
Well, the beginning of its description here on the Xbox Game Pass says, huzzah, and to that I say huzzah, because I had a very fun event this weekend that I played in UO Outlands. I'm not going to talk a lot about UO Outlands, but I'm going to talk a little about huzzah or nugra. I am going to talk a little bit about the event. So there's a group in the server called the Blood Rock Orcs. They've been a role-playing group in Ultima games since like 2000 or something insane. But they put on a little event. I've been calling it Urktoberfest, and for our side, I called it Night, spelled like the nightly man, Night of the Living Dead. Basically, it was I don't know, like a wave defense. What do you call those silly game modes that were real popular? Well, horde mode of zombies versus knights, entirely put on by players. So, the zombies had very special rules. There were other players, and they could only use certain equipment and could only move at certain speeds and things like that. And then the knights had certain restrictions as well. I streamed the whole thing over on the Game Bytes Show YouTube channel. So youtube.com/GameBytes Show. Go check it out. I apologize in advance. I don't know what happened to my mic. There was like a weird feedback that I couldn't hear. So it's kind of echoey. But it's like an hour-long event of just wave after wave of zombies. I cranked down the lights in the game, so it was like all you could see was by torchlight, and it was a ton of fun. All put on by another player, the Nerul of the Urk Guild. So tons of fun. Shout out to him for that great event. And the Orc Guild for hosting it. And Vile participated, and the other good guy guild was the Rangers. So a lot of fun over there. if I mean, I've said it before. I don't know why, but Ultima Online, in terms of the way that that game plays, just tends to lend itself to some of the best, just like free form role playing that in like an MMO space that I think I've ever seen. There might be others out there, you know, like the Second Lives of the world and that kind of thing, right? But you know, I never give a second thought to how my character is or acts or whatever in Guild Wars 2 or even Guild Wars 1, right? Like you just follow the story, you go to the next mission, you go to the green dot, you complete it, you move on. But in this game, it's just it just doesn't have any of that, right? So you just set your own agenda and your own narrative and kind of go from there.
It is a little sandboxy like that. Even
really
back in
great.
the day, people would role play and just kind of make up their own thing. And,
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun there. The other game I want to talk about, though, is a new one. I don't believe we've talked about this, is Book of Travels. So this was a little bit of a Kickstarter darling, I think. It's out in early access now. And this is a really cool game. The developer is calling it what did they call it? A MMORPG, a tiny
too many letters.
multiplayer online role-playing game.
Oh, that does sound familiar.
Instead of massively multiplayer?
Yeah, and so it's like small, but like it is so interesting the way they've laid this game out, and they just kind of throw you into it, and it's early access, so maybe some of that'll get cleaned up in the future. But it's like it's a 3D world, but it's like presented to you in like almost a 2D manner. So you know, you're at like a really steep angle, right? So like you're looking like down the horizon and you see really far off, but like the camera's real strange, but it really works, I think. And so as you click your guy, like if you click closer to the camera, he'll move towards you. If you click further away, he'll move away, you know, that kind of thing.
Darwinia had something like that, I feel like, where it was like you could sort of see in the distance pretty far, but
yeah, maybe
just like a very acute angle to the camera.
Yeah. The camera angle's just like, you know, it's like 15 degrees off the ground or something, right? So you're just seeing like in this weirdly straight line.
Myth the Fallen Lords, I think, was like that too.
Yeah, and the art is like weirdly like storybook like. You know, the art direction it kind of reminds me of is we've played both of these on our Twitch channel, and they're over on YouTube, but Absolver and Ashen, which are very different games, so don't confuse the game mechanics with them, but the art style and kind of it's like detailed but like obscure, like I don't know, it's really strange and like painterly in a way. It's a really pretty game. It did have some issues early on when it launched. I could not even get logged in for the first few days. Like they were having tons of like server issues because again, the servers only hold like 8 people. And so as soon as you try to join one, it would be full or something. So it was kind of weird, but it looks like they've cleaned all that up. And I was able to jump on. I haven't played a ton, so don't pass this off as like, oh, he knows everything about it at this point. I maybe put in an hour and a half, and I was just kind of wandering, a little lost. So, which I think is the point of the game. Like it's just kind of open. It has almost that like Dark Souls style of like shroud over the world, right? Like it's like there's things happening. There's towns. There's people here and there, but you really don't know what's going on. Like my character had his own little unique backstory. When you pick your character, it seems like it starts you off in kind of unique ways. So, you know, I'm just kind of following along with that and seeing where it takes me. The other thing that's really neat about it is it has quite a bit of almost like survival mechanics to it. Like your guy runs out of energy as he travels. When it's at night, like you travel more cautiously and like alert. So slower is kind of the thing, but I guess you're like looking for, I don't know, bears or something. Like I went to go talk to this guy and like I clicked over and it's dark, so I couldn't really see very well. And my guy walks through, like fords through the river, and now he's wet. And so I got to find a campfire to try to dry off. And so it's real interesting. It kind of got me hooked. Like I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of a cool game. Like this is really maybe onto something." So I'm going to keep checking it out. And you know what? Maybe we'll report back next week and see if I've gotten a little further. So that's called The Book of Travels. It's out on Steam Early Access.
Real good.
Well, I just have a quick thing to duck in here and say that for some reason I felt like going and playing some Final Fantasy 14. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
Nice.
You have
Back
my
on the wagon.
attention.
So this was a little bit confusing though. The process to resubscribe wasn't entirely straightforward. So I first off, I will say this is a positive thing for the Final Fantasy 14 game client is that it I guess they store server side your like customized UI settings and stuff like that. Because when I went to reinstall it, I was like, "Oh crap, which drive did I have it on? Where's my customized settings and stuff gonna be?" Couldn't find it, and I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to start from fresh." Um, and so I went ahead and installed it on the appropriate drive and everything. When I did finally get logged in, it was all there, and it was like just like I'd left it, and it was great. It was a good experience there. In the process of getting everything reinstalled and getting resubscribed, I found out that it was almost 3 years ago. In fact, it was October, I think 2nd, 2018 was the last time I'd paid for a month of Final Fantasy
Wow.
14. And here we are 3 years later. And so I'm I'm finding my way back to the game and trying to figure out how things work. But like I said, in the process of resubscribing, I had to I knew that I was gonna have to go through the
All the
what's it called?
hoops.
Mog Station, the
Yeah.
like the Square Enix portal thing, you know. Uh
Yep.
well, so I download the thin, the regular sort of installation client thing that you get, right? And and it only downloads like, 50 megabytes or whatever it takes to run that, right? And so then it won't let you don't download the rest of the game until after you've got your subscription sorted out and you're
Right.
logging in and stuff, right?
They don't want you
So
downloading all those bytes until
yeah,
you
all
paid
those
up.
sweet bytes without paying for it,
Right.
right? But yeah, so I click through and I'm going through the stuff and I'm like, okay, well, last time I was subscribed, I think I was buying like 6 months at a time, and and for whatever reason, this time I'm just going to do 1 month at a time, but I'm also going to set it up through Steam. And so there was some sort of disconnect in the process, and I clicked the thing, and it was like, all right, we're going to need this is Square Enix. Square Enix is saying, okay, it's going to be like up to 24 hours for your stuff to refresh, right?
What?
Uh, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I clicked the thing, but I guess I must not have clicked save and end, or I must have like, clicked, cancel on accident or something. Because like I'm waiting like 24 hours. I'm like waiting for an email to come through. I keep like logging into the client trying to like see if it'll work this time, and it doesn't. And finally, like I'm well past 24 hours. I'm up to like 36 hours at this point, and I'm thinking I don't even have this stupid thing installed yet. When am I going to be able to log in? So I go through the like without no email or anything from anybody. I'm like, well, I populated my Steam wallet with some funds to pay for a month, and the funds hadn't been disappeared yet. It's like, oh, what's going on? Did it not take? So I go back through the whole rigmarole again.
Just do it again.
And yeah, and I click through everything, and I'm setting it up exactly the same way and everything, except this time when I click okay, hit me with that 24 hours wait, it just like instantly goes over to the next screen. And it's like we're all done, and it's like oh, huh, okay. Anyway, so at that point, I am then able to log in. Well, first I have to download the
That is
19
the worst part of this
gigabytes
game
or
is the mod
whatever.
station and figuring that whole thing out.
Their entire back end and like their customer service
Yeah,
process is real bad. Like everything,
yeah,
it's like we talk about it. Final Fantasy 14 is like the success story, but it's almost like despite in some
In
ways.
spite of itself, it's
Yeah.
almost a
In
little
spite of that horrible
Nintendo-esque.
experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that
paid.
stuff is true.
I'm surprised that you're actually paying through Steam because I own the game through Steam, but I subscribe through Mog Station, so I'm paying.
Can
my
you do
credit
that?
card's there.
I thought you had to go through Steam.
You
I
have to
think
buy
it still
the
validates
expansions
your
through
account
Steam.
through Square Enix anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
it does. Yeah, there's double validation going on all over the place.
Weird.
Anyway, but yeah, I did set it up
Seamless.
to go through Steam. for how whatever that affects anyway. But anyway, so I get logged back in, and then oh man, here's my character, War Master Lupercal. Yeah, that's his name, and he's a level 53 warrior, and a Rogadjin. I
Cool.
think of him as a Galka because I am a very very long time Final Fantasy 11 player, and that was the race. That was the name of the race. That was like the big dude. Um, Except they had tails, and they were only like they were monogender, like they were only male. Um, in 14, I think there are female Rogadjin. Is that right?
The lion guys
Yeah,
No,
the
no,
big dudes.
yeah, they're
or the big
are they
green
lions? I
guys?
thought they were just like big ogre dude,
They're
kind of like
they're somewhere in the
trolls.
middle of
Yeah.
ogre, lion, troll. There's like a Venn diagram, and they're like all in the middle. Um, but anyway, yeah. So I remember when I created this character, I literally made him like the biggest model I could, because I wanted him to be massive, right? And he's a warrior, and I've only ever played like the only class I have any experience in at all is warrior slash marauder slash warrior. That'll mean something to LeGrande. And Jeremy, you've played this too.
Yeah, I play. I know what you're talking about.
I haven't done any of the disciples of the hand, the crafting stuff. I haven't done any of that.
Yeah.
Like,
No, me neither, ever. Like,
Yeah.
I have zero interest.
yeah, I don't know. I thought
I
maybe
walk around and people are
maybe I'll
doing that.
sometime.
There's like a little glowy spot that comes up and it makes that sound.
Yeah.
I'm like, boy, you have taken a wrong turn in life.
Well, anyway, I knew that I had beaten the game, right? Like the A Realm Reborn campaign storyline and everything. And yeah, I mean, certainly I had. I thought I was further into the like post game quests than I was, because I remember going around and doing like a good, I don't know, few hours of stuff. Like I figured out what that would have taken me past like probably 10 or 20, fetch quests and stuff. Go here and talk to an NPC.
Well, there's 70 of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch. And
By the
I
way.
apparently I had not even done as many as I thought I had, because like when I later decided to like I'll just look up a list of all these quests, right? And I'm only like at probably like the fourth or fifth bullet point post the like initial credits sequence of the game. And so I have no idea if this will ring a bell for you at all, LeGrande, but or maybe even you, Jeremy. But um, what I played today was I had to go and fight a Moogle. Like there was this like Moogle king that like the Moogles had like manifested out of
Was
the
that
ether
Great
somehow.
King Moggle the 12th or whatever?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
I had to he has been sort of like summoned like a demon from the ether or something, and manifested into the real, and like I had to go beat him. For which I had to use the duty finder, which meant that I had to play with other people, which meant that I was like, I'm the tank. I got to know how to do this. Okay, let me read all my abilities, figure out where I have them on the like menu bar system. So for this one, I have to hold down the trigger and then press the like Y button, and that's my provoke enmity, provoke hate, right? And then for this other thing that's like a defensive buff, I have to double click the trigger and then press the up arrow, up.
I
key
have a
on the
question. I
keyboard.
mean, aside from because I actually think that the controls actually work incredibly well on a
They do,
controller.
yeah.
So I'm less concerned about that. But I'm curious to know, because this has been a hurdle for me, is that when I come back after a period of inactivity, all of my abilities work differently. And I'm curious if that has been the case for you. If it's like, I remember I used to like stack this and then cue that and then I'd trigger that. And, you kind of knew what your thing was. And like for me, it changed entirely after I came back and I didn't even know what was going on. And so I
Maybe
had
it's
to like
just the
relearn everything.
maybe it's the warrior class, but I don't think it's changed all that much from 3 years ago. Because as I recall, and what I'm relearning now is basically like you have a couple of combo starter abilities that then sort of give you a 10-second window in which to use one of your
Trigger
other
a
abilities
third
that will
one.
then
Yeah.
be buffed.
Mhm.
And then there's a bunch of other stuff that goes along with being a party tank, like attracting hate and maintaining it and raising your defenses and going berserk so that all your strikes are critical, stuff like that. And I have them laid out in a fairly sensible manner to use the. So I'm using a dual controller approach where I use the gamepad controller, and then I'll hit hotkeys on the keyboard. Sometimes even use the mouse for something or other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I am dealing with their gamepad friendly control scheme, which it does work. It's a little bit complex.
Yeah, you have to get it. You have to like get in the zone for
Yeah.
it.
It's I found that trying to play Elite with a gamepad is also similarly complex because you're dealing with like modifier keys where you like it's as if you're holding down shift and hitting something or
Yeah,
whatever.
I had a real hard time with the controllers in
Yeah.
Elite
That's
Dangerous.
why with Elite I use a HOTAS minus the throttle.
And then you still have menus you have to kind of do. So there's only like you switch certain times.
But I found that with Final Fantasy 14 and with 11 before it, I've done a combo gamepad and keyboard setup to full effect. But yeah, so the other thing I'm doing besides killing the demon Moogle King spirit is I've gone and I'm helping with the relocation of the base from that like portside town to the like mountain fastness,
A Revenant Toll.
Yeah, you're moving it from was like Vesper Bay to Morgul Doll or whatever. Revenant Toll is that like the name of the town or something?
Yeah.
Mordona is like the
Mordona is the zone.
Yeah, and then I go back there and the lady Milifina, whatever her name is. Milfinia. Yeah, she has like a vision of there's like one of those the race of like bad guys that you defeated. Like there's one guy that's like come and he's like, I'm an emissary, I'm the bearer of the word of the true God. And so anyway, he wanted to like test me by making me run and fight some enemies. So I did that. And anyway, I don't know where this is all going, but as far as I know, it's still fairly early on in the connective tissue between A Realm Reborn and what is it? Heavensward is the first.
Heavensward, yep.
Heavensward is the first of the expansion stuff. So that's where I'm at. And I do still like playing a warrior tank. I like being a big, imposing dude with cool looking armor and a big axe. So
giant shoulder pads.
I haven't played warrior. I've never tried it.
I also, this game is, as always, it's just a very good thing to run around and, you can teleport anywhere and the world is nice and bright and there's always a bunch of stuff going on. It's, it's just fun.
There is a Dragon Quest crossover event happening right now. So you can go and fight stone and gold golems and
slimes.
Yeah, no slimes, but just the golems.
Really, no slimes out of all.
It's just a crossover event, and it's specifically with these golems, and you get like
okay, yeah.
You do get a king slime crown that you can.
How do they do that crossover stuff in this game? Is it like, is there any sort of like in-world like lore explanation? Is it all like, this is a fictional?
Yeah, there's a whole quest line. You go and you talk to a guy, and and he starts a quest. So it's in Ul'dah, which is there's just a quest guy, and you go talk to him, and there's a whole storyline. Say, hey, there's this stuff going on. In the case of the Final Fantasy 15 crossover event, it was like, what's his name from that game? What's that character's name?
Noctis.
Noctis had actually come through some portal from his dimension and got into Final Fantasy 14 land, into Eorzea or whatever.
Okay. Is that what happens with like the Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice people and all that stuff too?
No. In the case of those, Ivalice is actually a
part of the history.
Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Final Fantasy 14 all share a world, however, at very different timelines.
Wait, 14 is the same world?
Yes.
Really?
Well, all that stuff all exists. Like you run into Fran in Final Fantasy 14, and she's just a character. She's a Viera from that
like
era. And since they lived
ago?
for a really long time, she's still around, and she's the one who actually takes you into the village. You go to the village where that same village you visit in Final Fantasy 12, you have to go through there to get
I need to know more about this Ivalice cinematic universe.
The
greatest crossover.
Look it up. I mean, you should look it up and see, because it actually says like, yes, all of these games are tied together.
I think that's good. I want to know more about that.
I knew that, obviously like Vagrant Story and, Final Fantasy 12 and Final Fantasy Tactics, those are obviously all connected, as anyone knows. But I didn't realize that.
Well, you go back to Rabanastre and it's like all broken down. It's like a ruin at this point. So
and it's actually like, part of the Eorzea world.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I thought it was all like,
but again, it's like this is all way like all that raid stuff. They actually got the director of Final Fantasy 12, and he helped
Yeah.
design it and built out the
Okay.
storylines. and
About
stuff
how
like that.
far in terms of like hours of gameplay do you think I need to go before I can do that?
Oh shit!
You know what?
Uh,
What you do is you go
well,
to Wikia.
you have
How
to
long
get.
Spend a,
I,
spend
I
a couple
believe that
hours
the
there.
those are the Alliance raid series from Stormblood.
So if I only do MSQ stuff going forward, I can
Hundreds of
mainline
hours.
it to that point.
You probably have another 100 hours probably.
All right. Well,
I
buckle up,
mean, you
folks.
can do it. You have you have the rest of this patch content, 2 full expansions to play through plus their patch content.
Hold on to your butts.
Once you get to the end of the Stormblood, then you basically can unlock that stuff.
And then when you're done with that, you can play Outlands.
Delita is like you have to go and find out because you actually meet up with these
That is.
you meet up from Final Fantasy Tactics, right?
Yeah.
You meet up with some ancestors of Delita, and you have to go and do shit for them. And it's
Or
all part of that
descendants.
storyline. Descendants, yeah. It's not ancestors. Descendants of
Okay.
Delita.
Yeah. Descendant. Yeah, because his ancestors would have just been common folk
Right.
anyway. That's
So
awesome.
Those are good.
It's cool, man.
Weird.
You should play
forward to
through it and get to that point. It's not
Well, and when you're done playing that, you can check out these new releases, which we get from tech-gaming.com. We have listed here Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars,
Which looks real good. I'm interested in that.
Star Wars Jedi Knight Collection, which was a great series of games. Are those remastered at all, or just you can
I'm
now
sure
run
they
them,
have done something to them.
made them run?
Surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Wars Racer and Commando combo. So
This is pod racing and Republic Commando.
So Republic
one package.
Commando is excellent because there's no Jedi in it. It's a really good game.
It's just a shooter.
It's just a good shooter. It really is. The Dark Pictures anthology, House of Ashes.
That's pretty good. They keep it's like Konami or Namkai Bando. Namco Bandai that has like this co-op, almost like a David Cage kind of adventure game with like branching paths and things like that. Except you can usually play these co-op.
Did you ever play Until Dawn?
I played the VR on rails, Rush of Blood, but I didn't play Until Dawn proper.
I believe Until Dawn is. I think those guys made this. Is that right?
Possibly. We're gonna put a question mark on that one.
I don't know. I'm gonna find out. It is the same people. Yes. So the guys that made Until Dawn, which I played through on the PlayStation 4, and then I believe this is a very similar style of game. It's an adventure game, horror themed, and this is the second in the series. So the third game in the series. There's the Man of Medan, Little Hope, and this is House of Ashes. This is the third game in the Dark Pictures anthology. Yeah.
Cool. Nintendo Switch Online is now releasing the Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis collections.
So don't go get those because you're wasting money if you do.
I mean, some of the Genesis games are cool, but N64.
I mean, can't you buy like all of these on like a $20 Sega Genesis thing you plug in to your TV anyway? That you see those at like gas
Basically,
stations.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I listed two here that everybody else skipped over. Brood. Disciples Liberation. Disciples is a long-running fantasy turn-based strategy game. So a pretty neat little series if you're into that one. And then this one, which looks awesome, called Sands of Aura, just came out on Steam. This is like a action RPG. It says Souls-like combat. I don't know how the combat plays out, but it's like roguelike. You're in like this apocalyptic desert fantasy world, and the desert is endless, right? So you can like go on forever and like procedurally generate more areas. Yeah, and what was the Final Fantasy game? Speaking of that had this the Sand Sea.
That was Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, that's 12.
All right. Well, this one has one too, and you can sail over it. So
I'm in.
That's kind of what I think. I'm like, a Sand Sea is super cool. So Sands of Aura out on Steam.
This looks kind of like a Diablo-like.
It is. Yeah, it's like an action RPG. It looks super cool. I mean, it looks just really cool. I love it. Anyway, That's what we got for new releases. I didn't list any. We don't have any Red Switch PC game Xbox titles.
They were all lame.
Nothing
PS4.
rad. They were
there.
then lame PC Switch games.
Yeah.
There's nothing rad about them.
Yeah. Deals and freebies. Among the Sleep is out for free on the Epic Game Store until October 28th. Then DARQ, the complete DARQ with a Q, the complete edition will be up after that. Also over on the Epic Store, they are currently running a Halloween sale. I was going to try to pull that up real quick to see when that ends.
Halloween.
Yeah, that runs through. It does
into a pumpkin.
Not say. So there you go.
So
I believe
fast.
that the PlayStation Network also has a big Halloween sale going on right now too.
There you go.
There are
So
scary things.
So go find, there's some pretty cool stuff out there. They're not all necessarily Halloween related, but I think they also had a coupon if you signed up for their newsletter. So if that's your thing, go check it out.
All right.
That's it.
Well, speaking of games and news, we've got some games and news. We're going to start it out with Xbox. Microsoft has reported that their Game Pass subscriber growth has fallen short of their target. This is according to a financial filing. That they were expecting an increase for this year of 48%, but they've only established an increase of their subscriber base, and this is for the 12 months ending at the end of June, by 37%. Now, Microsoft does not report actual subscriber numbers, but we know that at the beginning of the year, that their subscriber base was at about 18 million subscribers, and that was, according to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, said that at the beginning of the year, which is, kind of interesting. I mean, that expecting to half again their subscriber base to increase over the course of a year, and when you're talking about millions of people, it's a tall order. But we've been very vocal on this show, and surely we have gotten the word out that Xbox Game Pass may be currently the best deal in video games at this time. So it is kind of interesting. I know that CEOs are typically spiffed, or they receive benefits and compensation based on hitting those kinds of numbers. So they're a little bit slow compared to what they had expected, but it does not seem to be really slowing them down. It remains a very vibrant lineup of games, and as we've discussed on many occasions here on the show, lots of stuff is on there that is really worth playing. Procession to Calvary, being one of those. So, anyhow, kind of interesting. I don't know if I don't know if I've ever seen. I mean, I guess aside from I think Dale is like the one conscientious objector for this, but I don't really see anybody saying that they've got it and are not happy with it, or find it not to be of value.
I just don't have it. I mean, I would be happy with it if I did have it, but
yeah. No, I got you.
Don't have it.
I got you.
I think
it seemed like a good deal.
I think be smart with it. I had canceled it for a while because I found myself not playing anything on it, but I recently resubscribed, and so.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it may not be for everybody, but anyhow, it's just, I would probably, if I had been, in some goal setting meeting, I would have said, yeah, sure, let's go, 50%. We should be able to get that many more people again. So anyhow, just kind of interesting, and we'll keep tabs on this as information is made available about the growth prospects or the continued development of Xbox Game Pass. Conversely, I cannot imagine that PlayStation Plus, and I'm a big Sony fan. I mean, I root for them. I cannot imagine that PS Plus would be growing at anything like this at this rate. Nor I mean, even
There's
Nintendo.
No way. They don't offer anything.
I mean, even Nintendo Switch is online now. I mean, they're deciding to charge more for some new platforms and stuff, and the Animal Crossing add-on, and it's just not as attractive, I think. So, hey, over at Facebook, this has been rumbling on the internet that Facebook is planning on possibly renaming itself, but there may also be an element of reinvention here as Facebook looks to reinvent itself as a metaverse company. This is according to a report from The Verge, who spoke with a direct source who is knowledgeable in the matter. Facebook could be announcing a name change at their annual Connect conference as early as this week. Although we may hear about that beforehand. Remember that Facebook is involved not only in the social media of Facebook itself, but also Oculus, which it's right there in their logo, the little Oculus symbol there, and then also Facebook Gaming, which does a lot of online streaming, and I do see sometimes as I scroll through Facebook, there are people playing games and stuff. So it is I don't know how it compares to Twitch or YouTube, but Facebook seems to be viable in terms of streaming gameplay.
We're waiting for our exclusivity offer.
Yeah, come on. Where's our partnership deal? We want. This is kind of interesting. I mean, we've heard about companies like Epic talking about Fortnite as Web 3.0 or cross. What do they call it? They had some cockamamie name they were calling it, like it was going to be this new entity or something. But Facebook, maybe could be in a position to do something like that. They're making some weird inroads into a lot of varied interactive arenas, I guess. So it seems like something that they could really pursue. But again, we will know a little more about that as the week develops. We have here the Uncharted movie trailer. For years we've been talking about the Uncharted movie and all the directors that it's gone through and the troubled production. We actually have something that we can see here aside from stills. The Uncharted trailer, of course, features Tom Holland as Marky Mark. No, I'm just kidding. Tom Holland as Nathan Drake. We've got Mark Wahlberg as Sully. And we have Sophia Ali as Chloe Fraser. I also noticed in the trailer there was Antonio Banderas as potentially a villain character. Yeah, he's like a bad dude.
Bad guy.
Yeah, and actually the whole thing about it, like when I watched this, I don't know what your feelings were about this as you watched it, but there were a couple of things that struck me. One, it seems to include some kind of set pieces and maybe some phrasing or character dialogue that might be reminiscent of games, but I sort of just got the sense that it was kind of like Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft. It's like maybe not as distinctive. I mean, it could kind of just be a generic action movie that's branded with Uncharted stuff. But they do have. I mean, in the trailer it shows kind of the airplane scene with all of the cargo kind of dangling by the.
Well, that leads you to the question: is like, what do you want from a movie a video game adaptation to a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you want it just to be follow the same beats as the video game, or do you want it to be we have these characters?
I'll say that.
Because they talk about Nathan Drake, and he mentions his brother, which is a character in the games, and he's got the necklace with the thing, and so I think like they're hitting the main character beats. But as far as if anything, the Uncharted games could be an Indiana Jones series, that style of movie series. If they didn't want to stick too closely to video game, which it looks like this is Indiana completely Jones. Separate. Well, and in this game, Tom Holland is a younger version. Like he meets Sully, and in the games in Uncharted 4, you actually play through the part of the game where you actually meet up with Sully. For
to me, it looks like they're trying to set up this movie as like part of the ongoing series, just primarily set earlier than the first game, but with that sort of tie-ins to the lore that was then uncovered in the fourth game, where you start exploring like, Nate has a brother, and more about the Nate Sully relationship, and because it also seemed like they were including they had an actress for Chloe. What was the other gal's name from
Elena
4?
I believe.
Elena, your wife.
No, from 4.
And then she was in a game with Chloe as well.
Lost Legacy.
Yeah. Was that her that was in this trailer as well, or maybe not?
know.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I haven't played the fourth game. I've just
I actually kind of really need to get back to Uncharted, I think, at some point.
So
Jerod, sorry.
I actually almost fired up, and this is even before I even knew this trailer was around. I almost was going to fire up Lost Legacy and actually play through it because I have it. I just haven't actually.
Yeah, I've got all
a
of
fair
it.
shake.
I need to do that too.
I was just gonna say, what do you want out of a Uncharted game? Do you want a remake of a movie? Sorry, a game that's already been. No, I mean, you want it to follow the themes, maybe have the same characters.
Yeah, I guess to me
tell
though,
a similar story, right? Like you don't want the
it
same
kind of
thing.
reminds me of like Mia Jovovich as Jill Valentine. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's not like I want it to necessarily be like just the cutscenes of Uncharted, but it kind of just has that. Like,
Although that
a
would be
little bit
great,
too,
honestly.
Yeah. it just kind of had a feel to me that I was like, yeah, like it'll be a movie that I kind of
Yeah.
forgettable. So
Final
It
Fantasy
definitely
is
looks
spares for me then.
better than Monster Hunter. And it looks better than a lot of movie adaptations. If you just look at the overall action sequences, and I think that Tom Holland's a good actor, and I think that Marky Mark is fine, and Antonio Banderas is also a fine actor. So we'll see what they can put together. I think that if anything, they might be able to pull something off that's okay. And the movie trailer to me looked like the movie is going to be a fine action movie to watch.
Yeah.
When I watched the Monster Hunter trailer, you thought, "Oh boy, like this is
yeah,
all
that's true.
bad."
Although I heard that it actually turned out not to be too bad. So
Monster Hunter, I watched it,
Yeah. Did you? What'd you think?
and it was fine.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
it was pretty dumb, but it was fine.
All right. Well, speaking of other big Sony property moves, we have here some confirmation this week. It was speculated before. If you guys remember, there was that GeForce Now or that NVIDIA leak of all of these PC games. God of War was on there. Sony this week confirmed that God of War 2018 will be coming to PC. It already has a pre-order slot on the Steam store. It might also be on
I think
Epic
it's on
Games at
Epic
this
as well.
point. Yeah, and $50, $49.99, which is a pretty, I guess deprecated price for.
It's
a
free
game
if
that
you have a PlayStation 5 in PlayStation
yeah,
Plus.
that is true. That is
But
true.
if you don't, then it's like $500 on the PlayStation. Whatever PlayStation costs.
That's true too. If you don't have a PC, you're going to be shelling out like $1,400 for something like this at the
Dang.
best. Yeah. So it is coming officially to PC, and great. I guess, Sony, we've talked about them in the past kind of divesting themselves a little bit, and Microsoft also kind of divesting themselves from being just a particular platform and allowing some of their software to come out on other, PC platforms.
So hey, LeGrande, the PC version, according to the Epic Game Store here, will support 4K resolution, GTAO, SSDO, DLSS, and ultra widescreen. So
Hot damn!
Also, it is an
a lot of
excellent
stuff.
game, so play
It is a
that.
good game.
Play
I'm
that.
excited for Ragnarok. Honestly, I'm excited for the next one.
Me too. I'm hype and buy on God of
Also
War
hype
Ragnarok.
and buy. Yes.
Halo's co-creator Marcus Leto has joined EA under the auspices of a brand new studio. The studio is going to be called V1 Inter. Oh, I'm sorry. That's his previous studio. Actually, what is this called? Doesn't really say. Well, anyway, he has announced Electronic Arts, and he is opening a new studio in Seattle. I don't think we have the name of that new studio.
Does it need to
but
be
it
a
is-
studio? It's an EA.
EA,
Seattle.
yeah, exactly. EA, Pacific Northwest. EA Beaverton.
Northeast-ish, but south of the other one.
Yeah, that's right. EA Dale Jones' house.
Ooh. Oregon Dunes, EA.
That's right. That's right. Which is kind of interesting. It'll be kind of cool to see what he's doing there, especially since we don't really know what EA is doing, moving away from FIFA and not making Star Wars games. So with
That's
any
why I
luck-
put this on here, is because I thought that, well, what? I mean, we were kind of trashing on EA last week, where what does
I think
EA
it-
do anymore? They're the sports. They make
Yeah.
NFL game and an NBA game every once in a while. They make a golf game.
They cancel a bunch of other stuff. They do not do Titanfall 3. Although, just harking back to that NVIDIA leak, Titanfall 3 was on that list. So who knows?
And
They should do it. I mean, they should have like a small team working on Apex Legends and keeping that going, and then a big team working on Titanfall 3. That's what
Not
Respawn
only
should be doing.
did God of War come out like it said it would, but Ubisoft, remember, had that takedown.
Yeah, they took it down. Yeah, that's
because
right.
of that,
So
and they're like, dude, don't spill all of our,
They got
14
Barbara
sequels.
Streisanded.
the
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand effect.
Our
That's
14
exactly right.
sequels to Splinter Cell out there. Nobody will know they're coming.
Here's kind of a cool little item for I don't know, maybe old people. I don't know. I don't know if young people are going to do this. Halo
gross.
Infinite, old people. Halo Infinite will actually allow you to use your PC to host cross-platform LAN parties in your home.
Cool.
Which is kind of neat. Like it seems like it makes sense that it should be a feature that it should have existed a long time ago.
Used
but
to.
Halo Infinite will do it. It
Yeah,
seems
you
like
should be able
there
to
are
hook
games that would do,
your Xboxes together to play Halo too.
but
Yeah.
not with a PC though.
Yeah,
Not with a PC. of
not
course
with a PC. But you used to be able to sit down and play Quake on a local network with whatever 8 people.
I'm
or whatever.
excited. I mean,
It's awesome.
I just thought this was interesting because like nobody. First of all, nobody gets together and does
LAN
this
parties
anymore.
don't really happen much. Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's no reason. Like it used to be that you had to get together because you needed the low latency to have the best multiplayer experience because
To get
everyone
those
was
sick
on modems,
rocket fat frags.
et cetera, et cetera. You were drinking Balls energy drinks and
With vodka.
playing Half-Life Deathmatch, and Counter-Strike Original 1.6.
That's right.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting, but I think from a competitive standpoint, LAN is definitely the best way to play. So if you want to network a ton of stuff together and do it over a LAN, that's going to be a better.
I feel like LAN parties are almost like the arcades of like Argentina. Like, because I kind of I went to arcades, but they weren't like a huge thing, right? Like they were kind of already gone. But like LAN parties was the thing. But like kids these days don't do it. I don't do it because I've got kids.
We still get together and we get together and I'll lug my PC over to a buddy's house and we'll play games, but we're just playing online games we could just as easily play from our houses, right? Like there was no benefit. The benefit was the fast network connection. Like that was the benefit. Well,
and it was like a weekend long, all night, all day.
Wait, your QuakeCon LAN parties, you go to those?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that even software engineering lead Mike Romero said something about that. He says, especially for folks my age, so this definitely is like guys of a certain age who grew up with original Halo, especially folks who grew up with LAN parties. I wanted desperately to, when this game launches, go have a LAN party with my friends. It remains to be seen how many people will actually. I think a lot of people might be hyped but not buy on Halo Infinite LAN parties. Like I think we're all like, yeah, that's a cool idea, but I don't know.
Until we go ask our wives, it's like, oh, with kids, they have soccer. And...
I got this Little League thing. They've been replaced by inmates. I've got to go deal with this. I've got one kid I've taken under my wing. He's going to score the winning touchdown.
Okay, I gotta guys. Go.
Okay. No LAN games. Guys, that is all that we have. That's all we have for the mainline news this week. We are now going to move into our news speedruns. Start the music.
Pew, 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 pew. And speaking of pew, 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 Overwatch's McCree gets a new name, Cole Cassidy.
Can I just comment on this? Because they're trying to canonize it. Like, he changed his name to his original, like, I'm going to be
they made like a
with
story
everyone.
about it or something.
Yeah.
Something dumb.
I wish that he had like a really stupid name, like, Felix McMuley or something like that. And he's like,
Felix
I'm really, or something like that, where he just, but now, no, like he's got some generic ass, cowboy ass name.
They went
just like his original name.
Western themed namegenerator.com and came out with Cole Cassidy. It took them a month and a half to come up with Cole Cassidy, y'all.
But you know what? I've already forgotten all about this Blizzard harassment stuff.
Well, guess what?
Under the rug.
You can also change your name in Overwatch.
Oh, wow.
So in case, you have some,
you've got a checkered past
in your username. On Overwatch, you can change that up until November 5th. You get a free name change on BattleNet.
Oh no!
Also, if you want to expunge some people in your life, more than 20 people have exited Blizzard since these lawsuits began. So you might as well follow suit, and I don't know. Some people are going to be dead to you in your life. Change your Blizzard name, and
so those people are changing their resume. I currently work for name.
That's right. Cole Cassidy.
On a totally different note, the games Terraria and Don't Starve are apparently swapping monsters for Halloween.
That's cute. And I actually just literally yesterday, bought Don't Starve together on PS4 to play with my kid, and we were doing like the Halloween. Yeah, it was really, really fun. So
my son was playing Terraria with his buddies today and yesterday.
See, and my girls also, they played a lot of Terraria. Like they were telling me all about like the Wall of Flesh and Skeletron and stuff like that. So
wait, how'd they get into my closet? Speaking of closets, PlayStation is opening their closet and letting out the State of Play this coming week.
Well done. That was very adept. This State of Play is going to deal with third-party games coming to PS4 and PS5.
Gross. They'll be boring.
Grand Theft Auto Trilogy. This is all the PS2 games. So 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Remaster coming on November 11th. And watch a video of the remastered. Actually, the graphics are getting quite remastered. So
really,
does it have the same soundtracks? Because
I think that's the big question that nobody knows.
That's a deal breaker.
The answer. Yep.
I mean, you could always just turn on Spotify now and just play, the Spotify.
Yeah, there's like a Vice City
because
playlist.
a lot of that was original music for
But you can
GTA
still
3.
find it.
Yeah.
I bet you can still find it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Assassin's Creed Discovery Tour Viking Age is now available for Assassin's Creed, whatever that Assassin's Creed game is. What's it called? Valhalla. Yes,
Valhalla.
thank you. There you go.
These are
so learn
really
something
cool,
about
actually.
Vikings.
I actually did the one for Origins. That is like the Egyptian one. Yeah, it was really actually kind of cool. I didn't spend a ton of time in it, but man, they go into all kinds of detail about like, oh, this building and blah, 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 blah was made by blah, blah, blah. It's really cool.
Huh.
It's free
I do
too. Like they're like standalone. You can go get them and just check that out even if you don't know
I
the
think
game.
we have VR versions as well.
Really?
That would
See,
also be awesome.
I did not know that. I always thought it was just an update to the paid game.
No, I
Well,
think
speaking of VR, Phil Spencer is over here winning my heart by saying that Xbox will not do VR. They're focused on software. Thank you very much.
weird because speaking of Phil Spencer, he also says Xbox will still buy more studios,
Oh man,
They're
I can't
hype
wait to
and
see what
buy
they're gonna bite next.
on more studios.
but not VR studios.
They're buying
Hey,
EA.
listen,
Spoilers.
Here's something they don't yet have. Final Fantasy XIV, still not on Xbox. Apparently, the talks have been ongoing for like years.
10 years.
Forever. Producer Naoki Yoshida says that
Naoki.
discussions are positive. Naoki Yoshida says that those discussions are ongoing, but no closing any deals yet on Xbox.
Huh. I wonder what's keeping it.
Somehow, guys, the PlayStation 5, despite not being available anywhere, has outsold the Nintendo Switch in North America, which has ended the Nintendo Switch's 33-week winning streak.
It's a long time for the Switch.
Well, you makes you wonder.
That might have been 33 month actually. I might have mistyped that.
It makes you wonder because if PS5 had supply all this time,
Yeah.
maybe they wouldn't have had that streak. You know what I mean?
It is a 33 month streak. I'm sorry about that.
Wow. Even longer.
Probably since it came out, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny, they still are advertising on PlayStation's social media, like, hey, come get in virtual line for a lottery to buy this thing. Ever since
crazy.
it came out. So yeah. Hey, over at MMORPG New World, you now have the ability to transfer your character to another server, which is more than I can say for Final Fantasy XIV. They will let you do it, but they'll charge you.
Okay, so breaking news over at the New World, character transfers have been paused due to a gold duping glitch.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, I read something
Got 'em.
really interesting. I read something really interesting about the New World economy. This past
it's
week.
broke.
Talking about how instead of having price inflation like you often see, they have massive deflation, which is even worse in some respects because when you don't need money for anything, they're like going to a bartering economy. Well, basically, when you don't need money, then there's like no incentive to go and do any work or errands or anything.
Yep.
Any trade, yeah. It is interesting how MMOs can be this sort of microcosm of economy, and you can do like economists will do real actual studies using.
So, the developer CCP, who makes EVE Online, has an economist on their staff, like full time.
Yeah.
I remember for a while
Valve did
too.
Valve had that guy from Greece. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who later went on.
Well,
to
look at their
become,
economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of economics and video games, we have a little bit of a one-up in the world
NFTs.
of blockchain. Last week we reported that Valve is banning NFT and blockchain technology from its store. Well, Epic says, you know what? Come on over, because we're all about that NFT blockchain.
I'm gonna
tech.
take a screenshot in a game and make it an NFT and sell it for billions.
You could.
Yeah, that's the way to go. And then I'm going to buy Greece.
Then you'll get that economist, and he can tell you why none of that would have worked.
Well,
Folks, Folks, that is going to do it for the speed run. That'll do it also for this episode of Your Game Bytes Show podcast. I want to thank you for being with us through our weekly traipse through the tulips of video games. We certainly enjoyed having you here, and my beautiful, lovely co-hosts, thank you for being with us for this episode. Folks, if you've got any comments about any of the games that we have played, any of the news that we have newsed, any of the things that are going on, find us on semi-toxic social media platform Twitter. You can find us collectively at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can also reach individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
I'm at LeGrande.
I am at Count Elmdor.
And I'm at red_I.
Find us also youtube.com/GameByteShow, where you could be watching us live, maybe even right now. You better go check. Hit that subscribe button, hit that alarm bell, be notified when we go live. You'll also find in our syndicated podcast a link to our Discord. Well, just find us at GameByteShow.com, where you can see the back catalog of all of our podcasts. Link to our Discord server is there on the page at all times. You can come join us and come interact with us in a completely non-toxic Discord server, where we will, entreat you to our wonderful, glorious opinions about things. Also, memes are there and kinds of good stuff. All those extra bennies that you get. And
we only occasionally throw Faulty Muffin under the bus for no reason whatsoever.
Once in a while. He's just, that's what he's there for. He lives to serve. And of course, we'll be back before too long with another episode of our podcast. Watch us live on YouTube. Get the syndicated version. Share it with your friends. Let them know that we've got a great thing going here at the Game Bytes Show. And until next time, folks, that'll do it for this episode, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Be seeing you.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!